South Korea and the United States have yet to release a joint fact sheet covering economic and security issues, despite the Korean government earlier saying it would be unveiled sometime last week. For more on what the paper might include, we're joined today by Professor Choi Hyun Jin, professor at the Department of Political Science at Kyung Hee University. Professor Choi, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So it appears the two sides have yet to reach an agreement on the nuclear submarine program. What details might be included in the joint fact sheet?
This joint fact sheet will likely to cover both economic and also security outcome from the recent summit. On the economic side, it should include updates on the tariff and investment negotiation, especially how South Korea's planned $350 billion investment plan will be managed over time. On the security side, the focus will be on three key issues. The first will be on the transfer of wartime operational control from U.S. to Korea. And secondly, the South Korean defense budget, how to increase it raise it up to 3.5% of GDP by 2035. And the last one is the ongoing discussion on the nuclear-powered submarine. I think that the last one, the submarine one, seems to be delaying the release of the fact sheet now. Because as you just mentioned, Seoul wants to build the submarine at home with the nuclear fuel provided by the United States. However, the Washington appears to prefer its construction at an American shipyard, possibly in Philadelphia. But I think that once this difference is settled, we can expect a joint statement and joint fact sheet to be released very soon, perhaps emphasizing that both sides remain fully aligned on joint defense despite the delay.
Right. It seems there are some key issues still left to discuss. Seoul's defense minister says a nuclear-powered submarine will pose a serious threat to North Korea. What would owning one mean for South Korea's security?
It would be a really big step for South Korean defense capability. A nuclear-powered submarine can stay underwater much longer and move faster and operate more quietly. And that means we can track North Korean submarine and even Chinese one without being detected easily. It also gives South Korea a stronger second strike capability and makes it harder for North Korea to predict our movements. And here, the military term second strike capability is simply speaking a retaliation. Okay? And that's why Minister An Kyu-baek called it a milestone in South Korean defense, and also it would make Kim Jong-un very nervous. It can also strengthen joint deterrence with Washington. The U.S. will provide support and also technology, while South Korean new submarine will make the alliance a stronger and more balanced. But however, there is also some possible challenges as well. Seoul needs to be very careful about these new challenges. So this development of new submarine system could trigger a possible arms race with China and Russia. And it could lead to some economic pressure from Beijing. So it is true that it's very important for South Korean defense, but however, it must go with smart diplomacy and stronger preparation for possible backlash.
I see. And like you mentioned, Seoul and Washington appear to have made some progress on transferring wartime operational control, especially with President Lee Jae Myung seeking to finalize this before the end of his term. How do you think this issue will play out?
Yes, this is a very important development right now. Seoul and the United States have agreed to move on to the next stage of operational control transfer. And if that goes well next year, the two presidents can set the final transfer date. And it would make a historic shift from the U.S.-led command to a truly combined one between the two countries, where a Korean four-star general take the lead in wartime operation. And I believe this does not weaken the alliance. It shows a more balanced and mature relationship based on shared responsibility and strong trust. The United States will provide coordination and strategic assets, while South Korea takes the greater responsibility in its own defense. But there are also challenges as well. So even after the transfer, the United States will keep far stronger intelligence and also surveillance capability on North Korea and other neighboring countries such as Russia and China. So the real issue will be how South Korea can lead the operation effectively under this informational gap. And so this will require very careful planning, better information sharing, and strong joint exercise to make the system work.
I see. And on defense costs, Seoul and Washington agreed to raise South Korea's defense spending to 3.5% of the country's GDP by 2035. What's your take on this?
Okay. Also, this is very meaningful step for South Korean defense capability. And Seoul and Washington agreed to raise Korean defense budget from about 2.3% of GDP now to up to 3.5% by 2035. And this is almost a 50% increase. It shows Korea is taking more responsibility for its own defense, not just relying on the United States. The extra funds will mostly go to drone system, missile defense, and also our own defense system against North Korean nuclear threats. Of course, some will be spent for purchasing American weapon system, the state-of-the-art weapon system such as F-35 fighter jet. But still, this is not just about stronger defense. As Seoul spends more, I think the United States will expect Korea to take more active role in regional security, such as deterring China and handling tension over the Taiwan Strait and also West Sea. And I think this could put Korea in a tough situation between Washington and Beijing. So I strongly believe that this increasing budget will be good for Korean defense, but it also calls for a careful diplomacy to manage new strategic pressure from neighboring countries and to avoid any possible conflict with China and Russia.
Absolutely. We'll have to see how that goes. All right, Professor Choi, thank you so much for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.